Today I would like to talk about non-duality for everyday challenges, because some people wonder if non-duality is even applicable, if we can apply it to everyday challenges, or is it just this concept that we read about, that we're hearing about, and it actually has no applicability. And so for the person, for the self-identity, non-duality has absolutely no application. There is just nothing. It always hears whatever is being said in non-duality through the dualistic perception. So it will hear everything either as toxic positivity or nihilism. It cannot just hear it, what is true. And that's why, even though I talk about non-duality, it doesn't come from reading. It doesn't come from some conceptual understanding. I remember many years ago, I stumbled upon some non-duality text. I hated it completely because it was just such a mindfuck, seriously. And I remember I will never go to that. But throughout the years, actually my teachers and my coaches were they wouldn't call it even non-duality, but what they were introducing me to was very non-dualistic. And it was so applicable to my life. And I just wanted to say that a lot of people who just listen to these videos, read the books, of course, it's always going to be just concept. The real way how to jump out of duality, it's a deeply emotional work. You cannot jump out of duality by thinking about it or by watching a video. Because the self-identity, it's made of emotion. Imagine the self-identity as a ghost, as a character in a movie that you imagine you are, that you're playing that role. And this character was born at a time where you felt unsafe or rejected or failed somehow. And you suppressed these emotions because it wasn't safe for you to express them. And so this suppressed emotions just took life on its own, and now it lives in the story. And you're confusing it for, it's just this mistaken identity. And so we see everything and we hear everything through the filter of the person. But you're not the person, you're not the character. And there is a way to jump out of that duality. But we need to feel those emotions because they have been suppressed. And when they are released, then there is just the sense of, well, it's not a sense, there is liberation. There's a recognition of reality, what is. There is basically clarity. And it feels so expansive. It feels, whether it's in relationships, business, any self-doubt, fears, stress, non-duality is the end of suffering. It is the end of stress, anxiety, any of those emotions. And all these emotions always come from underlying stories. It always comes from the self-identities that are protecting something, but that protection is no longer needed. And so what it looks like in real life is that often people, spiritual seekers or people who are into self-development and self-improvement, there's just so much spiritual bypassing. They hear these messages as a very, positive, toxic positivity, like everything is perfect. And, divine timing and all kinds of stuff. Just an excuse not to take action from where they are. And so a lot of people feel stuck where they are in their lives. They feel like they have this sense of there is so much more for them. They have they have a bigger potential, but they can't just put their finger on it. It's almost like this invisible force is just holding them in place. And the more they try, because they tried everything. A lot of people, they've been trying so many different tips and techniques and methods, whether in business or in just mental health. And the more they try, they just stay the same. So they decide the best thing is not to try anymore, and they resign and they stay put. And they call it acceptance sometimes, but it's not acceptance. It's just tolerating, because underneath there is still so many stories and fears that they've never confronted before, and they react in their life. They don't see the real opportunities that are there for them. And so when I work with my clients, I use a very reliable system that works over and over. It worked for over 100 people, where it doesn't matter which situation, what challenge you're going through. It just works on everything. It's not about improving something or reframing. It's really just complete dissolution of the problem, dissolution of that challenge, dissolution of that story, dissolution of that self-identity. So what's left is just clarity. And so whether you're going through divorce, a breakup, or you're trying to get your business off the ground, or you just feel stuck somehow, just knowing, but you do have a vision, you feel like there really is so much more for you, that there is so much more actually available for you, then just have a conversation with me. I am available on my website. You can schedule a call with me and we can talk about how I could support you in your particular situation, and to discover if we will be a good fit to work together. I really love working with people who just have that vision, who feel like there is a drive to achieve more, because that's another thing where non-duality talks about. I mean, I wrote a book, How to Achieve Nothing, but it's not nihilistic. It's really, it's just so beautiful to have desires. I'm not talking about being attached to those desires or having cravings, just natural desires for movement. Because that's just life. Life wants to move, there's just natural momentum. And we are so scared of those desires. So we just have this spiritual excuses how, we shouldn't be desiring things. But when we look underneath, when I work with my clients, there is just so many people who also don't even know what they desire, because they never think about their desires, because they just want to take care of everybody else. There's always an underlying story, and it doesn't matter what role you are taking in your life. It's just a role, and it's keeping you in a prison, and you're losing something on the way. And so you'll be looking to all those stories until there is just complete personal liberation in any situation. And, it's also not just about having some insights. It's not about having those aha moments, even though, of course, there's huge aha moments because non-duality is so unexpected. But for me, it's about integration. So every time we have a coaching call with my clients and they have these aha moments and suddenly they feel great, they had this huge situation, they had no idea how that would turn out for them. Maybe going through a divorce, for example, suddenly the husband was just telling my client that she was gaslighting him and she wasn't ready for that. There's just and suddenly start thinking about it so much that you cannot focus on anything else. So suddenly you realize in the coaching session what the real problem was, which was the underlying story. It was never the person or the situation. And so from that place, you have this clarity suddenly to take action, to have conversation. But this is what a lot of people miss. So what I find why the coaching is so powerful, especially for daily challenges, daily situations, because I always encourage my clients to turn those insights into action and to actually take action in their real life so they can start seeing their life really transforming. So there is a liberation and there is transformation. And the transformation really comes from taking that action. It's really not about some, doing just some healing or healing practices. Because when we take action, it's just that action itself in reality, outside of just an idea, it's victory itself over the past. And there is just nothing more satisfying to see that before you believed that something is completely impossible for you, and now you're just doing it, taking action, and it feels effortless. There is no effort in it. There is no trying or trying to be courageous. It's like once you have that clarity and once you went into your emotions, felt those emotions fully, and you jump out of that story completely without any position, it's just effortless. It's simple. There's clarity, simplicity. It's the end of overthinking and feeling stressed about it and trying to run or resigning and having excuses about it. You can read what my clients are saying on my website. In a nutshell, they say it's been one of the best decisions they took, even though it was inconvenient for them. So I rarely have somebody who just comes to me like, hey, I'm ready for coaching. It doesn't happen like that. People usually just want to explore what's possible for them. But then they also feel like right now is not a good time because they have to do something first. Maybe they don't have enough time. Maybe they don't have enough money. Maybe they don't have enough energy. And so those people who were working with me despite of that really feel like that was the best decision. Because it's just so unexpected and inexplicable. So I would like to just invite you for that call with me. This month, I still have 2 spaces for coaching. Usually the coaching happens in 3-month program. So we have enough time to actually create some results, some changes, some transformation. So if you are going through some transition in your life or through some challenges, this may be the best time for you to actually have somebody to work with you, because really it's just the concepts and the philosophy doesn't do anything. You are always only working on what you think you need to work on, but you don't see the blind spots. And it's all about those blind spots. The blind spots are actually what creates that momentum. So you can work superficially on all of these things, doing meditation and some healing modalities. And unless you really jump out of those underlying stories, nothing changes. Not really. And so imagine 1 year from now that you are still in the same situation. You are still in exactly where you are right now. Maybe 5 years from now. How would that feel? I work with people who are tired of settling, of stagnation, and they just really want to move forward. People who have some inspiring vision. People who actually inspire me in some way, even though they may believe it's not possible for them even. And what would be possible for you if you weren't held back by the underlying invisible force that keeps you stuck in that place? What kind of clarity would this bring? What kind of opportunities would you be able to notice? And how much space would you have in your life and in your thoughts to actually take care of yourself, take care of your business, if you didn't have to manage all of that stress and that anxiety? They say time heals everything. No, it doesn't. People who don't do this deep inner work, or people who just suppress their desires and stay stuck, having excuses about why they can't move forward, or just having these toxic positive thoughts about it, how it's just perfect the way it is, tolerating and settling for less than they really deserve, they become so bitter over time. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, that just accumulates with more regrets, with more unfulfilled purpose, with shallow connections, because all the authenticity was lost in some sort of performance. For what? To maintain an image of a person, to look good in front of others, to avoid judgment, to stay small, to stay mediocre. There is a huge cost of not doing the inner work and not integrating it in reality, to really creating the life that feels like your own. The most amazing life that is waiting for you is completely outside of your expectations. It's not something that you can just figure out. It's not something that you can just work on hard or just wait until something changes. It really is about letting go. But the self-identity can never let go. It has to control everything. And it keeps you stuck because its underlying purpose, the only purpose the self-identity has, is to keep you comfortable, safe. But that protection is no needed anymore. It happened long time ago when you were a kid. Now it's time to move on. It's time to move on to your real life that feels like your own, that feels like not just a shadow, that feels alive. Not just about those big things that we imagine will bring us happiness, like weddings and earning a lot of money. It's in those daily choices that we make, how we treat each other, how you treat yourself, how you treat your purpose, how you really honor what you really are with your talents, with your opportunities in your life that you have in your life right now already, without those underlying stories. The way we treat each other, the way we treat other people and ourselves just becomes so much more aligned with our deepest values. So the question really is, are you ready to create life that you actually love? To create life where you can do what you actually want to do? Have a conversation with me. You find the link in the description of the video.